You are sitting in a chair, drinking coffee, scrolling through your phone. Everything is normal, and then nothing changes. You're still sitting, coffee is still in the cup, phone is still in your hand. But something feels wrong. You feel a strange lightness, like something inside you has let go, like the world has stopped pressing down on your shoulders, like you are floating just slightly, just enough to notice. Then you look out the window. Cars are lifting off the ground, not driving, not flying, rising, slowly at first, then faster. People are floating upward, arms flailing, grabbing at nothing. Buildings are cracking at the seams. The ocean in the distance is rising like a wall of water, higher than any skyscraper. Gray day is gone. For just 5 seconds. 5 seconds. Sounds like nothing. It's one deep breath. It's the time it takes to read this sentence. But in those 5 seconds, something will happen that changes the planet forever. You won't die from falling. You'll die from flying up and not making it back down. Today, we're running an experiment. We're turning off gravity for 5 seconds. Spoiler, you won't want to repeat it, but it'll be fascinating in a horrifying way. Let's go. For those who skipped physics class before we destroy the planet, let's understand what we're turning off. Gravity isn't just the thing that pulls an apple to the ground. That's what Newton thought, but Einstein came along and said, no, gravity is the curvature of reality itself. Imagine space-time as a giant rubber sheet. Place a heavy ball in the middle. The sheet bends. Now roll a marble nearby. It doesn't roll straight. It follows the curve of the sheet, spiraling toward the heavy ball. That's gravity. Mass tells space how to bend. Bent space tells mass how to move. We don't notice gravity because we're used to it. It's always here, like air, like taxes, like that feeling that you forgot something important, but can't remember what. But here's the crazy part. Gravity is the weakest force in the universe. Yes, the weakest. A tiny fridge magnet is stronger at pulling a paperclip than the entire Earth. Gravity is only strong when there's a lot of mass. Like a planet or a star. Or a really, really big sandwich. If gravity disappears, even for 5 seconds, everything that relied on it will forget how to behave. And that's everything. You, me, the oceans, the atmosphere, the planet itself. Second one, you're still sitting. Coffee is still in the cup. The world seems normal, but inside you, something strange is happening. Your internal organs are no longer pressed against each other. For your entire life, gravity has been pulling everything down. Your intestines hanging from their ligaments. Your stomach sitting under your diaphragm. Your heart pumping against gravity's pull. Now, suddenly, there's no down. Your intestines begin to slowly float upward. Your stomach rises. Your liver shifts. You feel mild nausea, like a fast elevator, or the first moment of a roller coaster. You ignore it. You think it's just anxiety. Meanwhile, outside, chaos has already begun. Second, 2 cars parked in lots begin to slowly lift off the ground, first imperceptibly. First a millimeter, then a centimeter. Then they're floating in the air like toy cars, spinning slowly, bumping into each other. People walking down the street lose contact with the asphalt. Some manage to grab lampposts. Some grab tree branches. Some grab nothing at all. They float upward, arms flailing, screaming into a sky that no longer holds them down. Buildings weighing thousands of tons begin to creak. Foundations are no longer pressed to the ground. Walls crack. Windows shatter as frames twist out of shape. Building you are in groans like a dying animal. You try to stand up but can't. Your feet don't feel the floor. You're floating like an astronaut on the ISS. You grab the edge of your desk, but the desk isn't bolted down either. It floats with you. You look at your coffee cup. The coffee isn't spilling. It's forming a perfect sphere, a floating brown ball, slowly drifting toward the ceiling. The cup itself spins gently beside it. It's beautiful. It's terrifying. It's the last moment of normalcy you'll ever experience, Saro. The oceans, no longer pressed to the seabed. Billions of tons of water rise into the air. Not a tsunami, not a wave. All the water of the Atlantic, Pacific, Indian Oceans, all of it, lifts off the Earth's surface. If you were on the shore, you'd see the sea rising as a wall kilometers high, higher than any mountain, higher than anything, then disappearing. The seabed exposed for the first time in millions of years. Ships that floated on the surface now float in the air, alongside fish, whales, submarines. The atmosphere also escapes. The air we breathe is no longer held by gravity. It begins to dissipate into space. You don't feel it immediately, there's still air around you, but it's thinning. Your ears pop, your breathing becomes shallow. You start to suffocate. Not from fear, from the air leaving, from the planet exhaling its last breath. Second 4. Earth is a massive ball, held in shape only by gravity. Its own mass compresses the planet into a sphere. Without gravity, Earth begins to expand, not explode, expand. Like a spring being released, like a fist opening deep below us. In the mantle, rocks that have been compressed for billions of years begin to spread apart. Cracks race toward the surface. The crust fractures along fault lines. Volcanoes that slept for centuries wake up, lava erupts. But the lava doesn't fall either. It rises into the air with everything else, glowing red bubbles of molten rock floating upward like terrible balloons. If you are still alive, see the ground beneath you cracking. Chunks of rock breaking off and floating around you. The building you were in has already fallen apart. You are floating in a cloud of debris. Concrete, glass, metal, paper, all drifting together in silence. The planet is no longer a planet. It's becoming a cloud of debris. A ring of rubble where Earth used to be. Sanctioned 5 greatest switches back on everything that managed to lift off from Earth begins to fall back down at 9.8 meters per second squared. Accelerating your house, your city. The oceans, ships, cars, lava, everything crashes back to the surface. Imagine falling from a height of 122 meters, about 40 stories. You have 5 seconds of free fall. At the moment of impact, your speed is 50 meters per second. That's 180 kilometers per hour. That's like hitting a wall on the motorcycle. That's like being hit by a train. Most people don't die from the absence of gravity. They die from its return. But some are less lucky. Those who were inside buildings when they separated from their foundations. They don't fall from a height. They fall with the building, or onto it, or under it. The oceans crash back down with the force of 1,000 nuclear bombs. Water that rose kilometers high now slams into the seabed, creating tsunamis that circle the globe multiple times. Nothing on the coast survives. Statistics. There aren't any, because no one survives to count them. Even if you somehow survived, if you were in a plane perhaps, or in a deep bunker, the planet is no longer the same. The oceans returned, but not to where they were. Water has redistributed. Continents have changed shape. Places that were land are now underwater. Places that were seabed are now mountains. The map of Earth is unrecognizable. The atmosphere didn't recover either. Some air escaped into space forever. The remaining atmosphere is thinner. Breathing is harder. The sun burns stronger. There's less protection from UV radiation. The sky looks different. The stars are brighter. Earth no longer spins on its axis the way it used to. The redistribution of mass changed the planet's moment of inertia. Days are shorter or longer. Scientists would argue about this for centuries, but no scientists survived because most of them were in buildings that collapsed, or in cities that flooded, or in labs that floated into space, of course, Gravity can't just disappear. It's a property of space-time. It's not a switch you can flip. But if we imagine it stopped working for 5 seconds, the calculations are terrifying. Let's break it down. Liftoff speed, in 5 seconds of free float, without gravity, an object not attached to Earth would rise 122 meters. That's the height of a 40-story building. That's taller than the Statue of Liberty. Return speed. Falling back would take the same 5 seconds. At the moment of impact, your speed would be 50 meters per second, 180 kilometers per h. That's faster than a cheetah. That's faster than most cars. The oceans. In 5 seconds, water would rise 122 meters and crash back down. A 122-meter wave. For comparison, the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami was 30 meters. This would be 4 times bigger, and it would happen everywhere at once. The atmosphere. The atmosphere is about 100 kilometers thick. In 5 seconds, only the lowest layer would escape, but that's enough.
The pressure would drop instantly. Your lungs would rupture. The planet's structure. Earth's crust is only 5 to 70 kilometers thick. The mantle below is molten rock under immense pressure. Without gravity, that pressure would release. The crust would crack like an eggshell. The scariest part isn't the 5 seconds themselves. It's the aftermath. A planet that survives such stress will never be the same. The ecosystem collapses. The climate changes forever. Life as we know it ends. Relax. Take a breath. Gravity can't disappear. It's not a force you can turn off like a light switch. It's a property of space-time itself. As long as there's mass, there's gravity. As long as there's a universe, there's space-time. As long as there's space-time, there's gravity. Even when the universe eventually dies in the heat death, or the big crunch, or the big rip, gravity will remain. It will curve space where nothing else exists. It will be the last thing standing. So, you are safe. Your coffee won't float away. The oceans won't rise. The planet won't crack open. But there's a tiny, tiny catch. Scientists suggest that in the distant future, dark energy might tear the universe apart. It's called the Big Rip. First galaxies would separate, then solar systems, then planets, then atoms. And at that point, gravity wouldn't hold anything together, but that's tens of billions of years away. Maybe more. So sleep well tonight. Your gravity is safe for now. We turned off gravity for 5 seconds. What did we learn? Second one, you don't realize what's happening. Your organs float. You feel nauseous. Skated full sefid. Cars and people lift off. Buildings crack. You start floating. Second 3. Oceans and atmosphere escape into space. You begin to suffocate. Second 4. Earth begins to disintegrate. The crust cracks. Lava floats upward. Second 5. Gravity returns. Everything crashes back down. Nothing survives. And the biggest lesson of all? Gravity is not your enemy. It's your anchor. It's the only reason you're here, reading this on solid ground. Now a question. If you had 5 seconds before gravity disappeared, what would you do? Would you run to your loved ones? Would you grab something valuable? Would you just stand there, frozen, unable to move? Drop it in the comments. I am genuinely curious. Your answer says a lot about you, and if you want to know what happens if electromagnetism disappears, or if the strong nuclear force turns off, smash that like button, subscribe to CThe Animation, and remember, gravity isn't a curse. It's the only thing keeping you on the ground, literally.